Okay, good Woch, everyone. It's a Shabbos, Parshas V'Eschanan. We will learn in Mitzvah Shem, Sichos Haran, Sicha Chof, Sicha 20. So let me just share the screen with you. Okay, where is it? Right here. All right. So this is what Rabbeinu says. When a person is happy all day long, Azad b'nakel lo liyached shah b'yoyim l'shaber eslibu l'siach es kol Hashem l'vovo ifnei Hashem yisborach. Then it's very easy for him to single out, to dedicate 1 hour a day to break his heart and speak everything which is on his heart before Hashem yisborach. As, you know, we said a few times by us. But when a person, chas v'shalom, has sadness, it is very difficult to make his ways and to say everything which is on your heart. And should look further on Sicha Ayin Dalet 74. Kama ha'adam tzarich lischazek liyas sameach tamid. A person should strengthen and steel himself to be always b'simcha. And more than any other time of davening. You have to force yourself with all your strength. It says to be zoicha to simcha is more difficult and hard for a person to be zeicha to it more than any other avodah. And Rabbeinu answered and said, "Kvimir, the way it seems, she'i efshar avo l'simcha ki im al yedei inyanei shtus. It is not possible to come to simcha except if you use, foolishness. To make yourself like a fool. And to do, things of jokery and nonsense. It said in another place. And this is the only way that the person can actually attain simcha. When a person is actually zoche to simcha, Azai Hashem Yisborach be'atzmo yishomer oiseh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is guarding you. Umatzi lo yiseh migambers. HaKadosh Baruch Hu saves a person from any damage of the covenant, the holy covenant in his Usha. So the first thing it says that when a person is b'simcha all day, we're saying basically 4 things here. When a person is b'simcha all day, it's very easy to come to a broken heart and to speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu everything which is on your heart. But when a person is depressed, when he has atzvus, it's very difficult to be misguided and to actually open up. That's One thing. Second thing he said, how much a person needs to work on this and how hard it is. That's the hardest avodah of them all. The third thing he says, that the only way that you can actually come to simcha is through inyan shtus, mitzvah shtusa. Make yourself like a fool. And only this is the only way that you can come to simcha. And the fourth thing that Rabbeinu said, when a person is zeichet to simcha, Hashem Yisborach himself is guarding him, is guarding his sanctity and his kedusha. This is an amazing thing. It seems like it's like an endless cycle. A person is not besimcha, so a person cannot make his vedus. A person cannot, speak out his heart to Kadosh Baruch Hu. And because of that, then he becomes depressed. And because he is depressed, he cannot make his vedus. And it goes around and around and around. And it's very difficult to know where to start. Rabbeinu says, remember, if you are besimcha all day long, he says it's very easy to open up the heart and make his vedus. It's very common, let mommy help you. It's very common to come to make his vedus and the heart is closed. You sit there and it doesn't work, which is okay. You should realize it would have been a lot easier if you were happy all day. But being that I'm busy all day with my fears, and the fears that I have are commensurate with my level of emunah and my level of trust, of how much I trust Hashem. Because it's very easy to believe in Hashem. Even a goy can do it. That's not hard at all. The thing which is much harder is to trust Hashem. It's a different kind of emunah. The problem is that we were learning throughout our history that trusting is asking for trouble. We all come to our station here now in life prepackaged with a lot of disappointments and disillusionments and I would even say justified lack of trust. Anybody that basically was supposed to take care of us. Could be sometimes the parents, sometimes it's the school system, sometimes it's whatever. All those who were custodians of my well-being basically behaved as if I wasn't even there. And or at least it felt that way. Truth of the matter is that if I were to sit down and analyze what they did right and what they did wrong, and percentage-wise, how much right they did and how much wrong they did, the inevitable conclusion will be that I would say probably anywhere between 90 to 95% of everything they did right. I mean, it depends, obviously, each person according to his own history. But even I'm not talking about somebody who comes out of a horror house where people were tortured or whatever. I'm not talking about anything psychotic. Our parents, whatever it is, they had it hard. I mean, it's like we had it hard. They had it hard also. It's part and parcel of living. That's. I went to a doctor and he said, you don't have any risk factors. So except for the fact that I'm alive. He says, yeah, except for that one. Yeah. It's part and parcel of being alive. We have a mitzvah, Dafka this week's Parsha, Parshas Sichos that the Gemara says that the person, it says that the person is ordered, said kabedet savicha vesimecha. So the Gemara says, up to what extent is a person supposed to honor his father and his mother? So the Gemara brings a story of a goy that was a gem merchant who Chachamim needed a gem for the breastplate of the Kohen Gadol, the breastplate or one of the vestments of Kohen Gadol, and he had it, and they offered him a profit of 400,000 golden coins. And he came and he says, just a minute. And he had obviously his safe, as it were. And the key to that chest was under the pillow, and his old father was asleep. So you would say, obviously, what he did, he just, tapped his father and says, Dad, you got to wake up. It's an emergency. It's unbelievable. But he didn't do that. He tiptoed out of the room and he said to the Chachamim, I'm sorry, I can't do business right now. Can't do it. They offered him a profit of 800,000 gold coins, which is an inestimable amount of unfathomable amount of money in our day and age. And he said, I'm sorry, I can't do it. So the question is, how come the Gemara brought a mashal from a goy? Why didn't the Gemara bring mashal? Don't we have our own sages that did tremendous things Reb Tarfon with his mother, that his elderly mother, every time that she had to get out of bed, he didn't use a stool, but he would, crouch down by the bed so she can step on him and get down. And one day, her sandal was torn. So he put his hands down on the floor so she can step on them, so she doesn't get her feet dirty. Why does the Gemara bring a goy? Until when? This is checking. The goy, by the way, got his reward from the Kodesh Baruch Hu almost immediately, because in his herd he had a red heifer, perfect red heifer. And Chachamim ended up buying that from him for a far greater sum of money than he would have made for the stone. So he was compensated by Kodesh Baruch Hu plentifully. So Rabbi Miller says that the reason why the Gemara brings us the mashal from a goy, it's because it's a svara. It's a seichel de keinyan. You should be thankful to your parents for the fact that you're alive. And if you're not so sure, what's the big deal of being alive? I didn't ask them to be born. Well, if somebody suddenly gets a severe illness, and he hears that there is a mumcha at the end of the world that can heal him, he would run on all four to find refuah, because living is sweet. It's fantastic, especially if you're a Yid. But even if you're not a Yid, and it's not only that your parents and my parents, gave me life. Once they gave me life, they didn't send me out to the street like a kitten. Go ahead, forage for your own food. They always gave me clothes. They always fed me. The rent was always paid, or they owned the house, or whatever it is. Without me, or whatever it is, they would have needed a smaller house, or whatever. There's so many things that my parents did for me that it's a seichel dika thing. It's only a total ingrate with a total lack of gratitude, with the sense of self-entitlement, to the nth degree. That was the big deal, I didn't ask to be born. They gave birth to me, now let them suffer. It's such an unbelievable level of ingratitude. So comes the question, so why does the Kodesh Baruch Hu puts it on the luchos? It's the fifth one on the list. From the 10 Commandments, that's the fifth one. The rest of the Torah, besides the inyanim that are there, Kodesh Baruch Hu, idolatry, Shabbos, you have if it's such an obvious svara that even a goy should understand it, why is it put on the luchos? So Rabbi Miller says it's on the luchos because it's not just something that al pi svara you should do. Kodesh Baruch Hu makes it a mitzvah d'oraisa. Mitzvah d'oraisa. If your mother asks you for something and your father asks you for something, even after they pass on, to be mechaber them, to speak respectfully about them. But it's, for us, we take everything for granted. It's the bad that we can't get used to. It's not unusual. This is the way that we tend to do things and view things all the time. We very rarely see the good that our spouses do, or other family members, or friends do. Especially when it gets to be, that's reality. That's part and parcel. That's what they're supposed to do, quote unquote. But we never get used to bad. So we magnify it. And it brings us down. Rabbeinu says, this is, so when I come, so we made it, as I said, it builds your own story, You come to Kodesh Baruch Hu already broken to pieces all day long. This is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong. And this won't work. And this one will turn me down. And it all becomes a prepackage. So when we come to Kodesh Baruch Hu, Rabbeinu reveals to us that this blocks us from being able to talk to him and to really confide in him. It's an amazing thing. What a chiddush. If you force yourself to be b'simcha all day long, when you come to Mikos Beidus, I mean, the eyes will come out, the tears will come out like a torrent. You're able to say anything, to ask for anything. So why are we not b'simcha? Rabbeinu says because it's very hard. In fact, it's the hardest thing there is. It's the thing that we want more than anything else, yet it is the hardest thing to attain. We want the work to be done for us. We want to be pleasantly surprised and go, wow, unbelievable, look what that you should have. Incredible. Fantastic, I can't believe this, you'll never guess what happened. That's what we want. We don't want to work hard. Rabbeinu says that not only is it hard, he says it's the hardest of all the avodas. It seems like Tisha B'Av, the hardest thing about Tisha B'Av is that, I don't know if you experience the same thing. I spoke to my wife and she concurred with me, so that's in itself a very rare thing. Then my wife agrees with something that I say. But be that as it may, being on Tisha B'Av and refusing to let the temptation to be entertained, even by Tisha B'Av programming. I'm not talking about watching movies or something, even, or going to sleep or even some kind of a nigun, dveikus, whatever it is. These are all escapes. Just to sit there and not move your mind away from the morning of Tisha B'Av. I told my wife it feels like sitting on a direct flight in a plane for 12 hours from New York to Tel Aviv. sitting there for 12 hours in this metal sausage. I don't know about you. I feel like it'll never, ever, ever end. Tisha B'Av feels like that. Working on being besimcha is lifting that up. It's, Rabbeinu says, it's the hardest avodah there is. And he gives us a tool. And the tool that Rabbeinu gives us is Milsa D'Shtusa. Now, the problem with Milsa D'Shtusa is that it's not very dignified. And I'm not in the mood to go, bark, 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 bark. I mean, please. It's like, bark, 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 bark. Please. Yes. I mean, come on, I'm making fool of myself. Bark, 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 bark. Yep. Like that. By the way, you should know it's a wonderful way to go to make his Vedadus, to start in his Vedadus, is to make animal voices. It's tremendous. Opens up, takes you out of your, don't disturb me now, I'm depressed, can't you see? Takes you out of it. And you go like this, and you force yourself. But you don't really believe it. I'm not really besimcha, because now the thing is, you have to understand that in Yonah Tzchok and Shtus, you have to be very careful. As Rabbeinu says, he says about joking, you have to make sure that obviously, nobody gets hurt from it. It cannot be on somebody else's account. You can't tease somebody. You can't make fun of somebody. You can't do that. That's point number one. Point number two, obviously, it's going to contain anything which is less than Kedusha and Tahara. We just finished Torah Yutes, which spoke about Kedushas in Loshen Kodesh, which is so obviously no Nibul Peh, no profanity, no Loshen Hara, nothing like that. And Rabbeinu says that the third T'nai of saying a joke is that you yourself won't feel the enjoyment of, man, I said something. Listen to this. So they said, and listen, and I came in and, you're so smart, you're unbelievable, you are incredible. No. Rabbeinu says, okay, now that you have these three conditions, go ahead and tell jokes. After he took all the fun out of it, just go ahead and tell jokes. The thing is that I don't know if anybody here was ever in laughter therapy. It's called laughter therapy. I've never participated in one, but a neighbor of mine had, the women came and they had one to do, and the neighborhood was reverberating with hilarity from the laughter of all the women that were there. They were just laughing their head off. As you know, when you come and when you start laughing like in a fake manner, it's very soon you'll be laughing uproariously. You go, keep on doing it, some you're going to be laughing your eyes off. You'll be in stitches. And Rabbeinu says, this is what you should do. This is what you need to do. But no, I want Simcha to happen to me. And Rabbeinu says, no, Simcha is something that you manufacture, that you create for yourself. You don't wait for something or somebody else to come and do it for you. You do it yourself. It's an unbelievably hard avodah, and the way to do it is to do it with Misl D'Shtusa. Going around forcing yourself to be b'simcha. The first thing, obviously, that needs to be done is you got to daven for it. You got to ask Hashem to help you to be b'simcha. I should be able to find the nekuda, how fortunate I am, how good things are. The nekuda tova about myself. Somebody asked me about what's the avoid of nekudas tovas. How do you do it? How do you do it? Rabbeinu says that this is a Torah that everybody should go with. How do you walk with the Torah of nekudas tovas? So I said, do you know the red shirt syndrome? So he told me, no, I don't. So I told him, if you're sitting there, in the bad old days in Yankee Stadium, and I tell you, close your eyes, and you go, okay. And then I ask you, how many people in the stadium, in our section, are wearing red shirts? You go, I don't know. I said, okay, open your eyes. And you open your eyes. I said, now tell me. And then you start looking. He says, oh, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Suddenly you see the red shirts. So how come you didn't know how many red shirts were there before? Because you were not looking for them. The thing is that Rabbeinu says a person is supposed to search for nekudas tovas. What's that to search? I can give you 300 right now, just today. I daven mebrach and this and this and that. So what's the big deal? What is it to search for? What's it to search for is you take the nekuda tova, you take that good thing that you did, and you look at it, and you reflect into it, and you realize that you put on film. Okay, well, big deal. Everybody puts on film. No. You don't understand. You're a human being. You have a mitzvah d'oraisa to put on film. Well, everybody puts on film. No, first of all, it's not true that everybody puts on film. But even if it were, it only makes the mitzvah greater because the kerach of the Rav. In other words, you go into it, and you go into your emunah, and you go into the mitzvah, into the nekuda tova of what you did. And then suddenly the Yetzer Hara comes around and says, oh man, you're just showing off, man. You're just showing off. You are filling yourself with gaiva. I mean, next thing, you're going to expect the Kodesh Baruch Hu, to give you some kind of a shortcut somewhere else. So you really didn't do it for Kodesh Baruch Hu. Rabbeinu says in Toresh Peives, in the famous RPB, that's right. He says the Nekuda Teva is covered with Shalol Lishma, is covered with extenuating circumstances and self-interest and whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It's a Nekuda Teva. you did something good. And of course you feel Sammy coming up and saying, yeah, but look what it did, it's like look, no, 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 no. And it's hard work. It's work that needs to be done. I want to tell you something. If each and every one of us would have been working on being besimcha all the time, succeeding, more succeeding, less, but all the time working on it, over 90% of all your problems would be gone. Relationship problems, money problems would be gone. Vayner says when a person is besimcha, his mind is clear. And you are able to navigate your mind in a proper manner. The thing is that the main reason why the hardest thing about being besimcha is the fact that we're not doing an nekuda teva out of the simcha itself. In other words, we're too busy doing other things, and we're not making being besimcha a goal. Dance. What do you mean? I look like a fool. What do you want? I'm in my 60s. I want to go dance in the show. What did you take me for? What else? I don't know. Maybe you want me to waltz? I don't know. Yeah, why not? Take a broom from a broom closet and go and do a tango. What's the big deal? Da di da 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 di da da di da da. Why not? Yeah, di 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 da di da 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 di 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 da di da da. Yeah, they're in the kitchen. Believe me, all your kids will dance around you. And then, because simcha is contagious, the same way as depression is contagious. If I'm going whining all day long, everybody whines around me. Everybody wants to feel simcha. But to feel simcha, I have to put it in front of me as a goal. I have to work on simcha. Atikodesh Baruch Hu, work on this, try, fail, this, that. Work on simcha. Just put it signs. Says, work on simcha. It's the key. All the problems of money and of kedusha and relationship actually emanate, when you come to think of it, from a lack of simcha. The relationship comes like I said, because I want somebody else to make me besimcha. What do you? They expect me to make them besimcha. Can you imagine that? They're just users. They want to use me for their own amusement. But what am I doing? I'm doing exactly the same thing. I want them to make me besimcha. I spend money when I don't have it to buy something. They say you can't buy love. But we're still trying. We're still trying. So we buy, facsimils of love. Fake love. We're trying to buy peace. We're trying to appease, which is basically lying. We buy things. We overeat. Or we eat things that we shouldn't. It's not good for us because we're trying to console ourselves. But if you're besimcha, the mind is open, your decisions are seichel. You're yourself a besimcha, you'll make somebody else besimcha. Everything will fall into place. And Rabbeinu says you'll be able to make his ve'edus, then you'll be able to put all those points, all those sour points, all the brokenness, which everybody carries, all the tisha b'avs, will come to their place of his ve'edus or chatzos. The rest of the day will be with tremendous simcha. You know, Kalman Goldschmidt, Zecher Tzadik Levrocha, that, you know, he was sick with a tumor in his stomach for 3 years. They gave him 3 weeks to live. And he basically revolutionized the entire from world with his simcha. He was laughing, he was singing, thanking HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the illness. When he passed away, you know, they wrote about him in Ami magazine, Shpacha magazine, and all the newspapers. His son asked him, you know, towards the end, whatever it is, his son asked him, you know, how do you feel? He says, I feel marvelous. He says, my body feels lousy, but I feel marvelous. This is what Rabbeinu calls the liberty of the mind. This is possible only with simcha. Simcha is possible only with milsa d'shtusa. So, you know, everybody is doing all kinds of things when nobody's watching, you know. Then these kind of jazzy movements around the house, you know, you know, that kind of thing. Nobody sees, you know, I'm a dignified old man, and I can't just go around like those spiduts. It's like, go around the house, do it. Let people see it, so what? Everybody will be simcha. Will be tremendous. What's the one thing that you are, I don't know. So the one thing, no, so what? They'll keep on to their depression, and you'll be besimcha. There's a lot to be besimcha. There's a lot to be besimcha. The Yetzer Hara does not want us to be besimcha. So the conclusion is, first of all, we make it a goal. You can write it down. At least once a day, you devote, well, I devote 2 minutes. 2. To asking the Kadosh Baruch Hu to be b'simcha. That it should be my goal to be b'simcha. So I put the tefillos about it. Pay attention to it. Simon Nekudas Tovos. And it seems conceited. It seems fake. Let me tell you something. Fake it till you make it. And this is how it's done. Because what we call real simcha is not real simcha. That manufactured fake simcha, that is the real simcha. That kind of joy that you feel when, you know, when somebody does something nice for you and surprises you with something nice, that's not the kind of simcha we're talking about. Simcha is that which you manufacture, the fake one. That's the real one. It's an avodah. The Rebbeinu says the hardest one of them all. And as far as tikkun bris, I mean, gamma bris is the international antidepressant, as it were. because that causes the worst depression that there is. We have a professional over here that can at least go like this with his head being he's muted, right? Rabbi Rosenfeld. So the tachlis is, listen, Tisha B'Av is over. Bezat Hashem, next is Rosh Hashanah, Mitzvah Hashem. Hopefully in Uman, Bezat Hashem. And focus, Simcha. Project Simcha. Bezat Hashem, I should help. Should all be Zoicha to understand that Simcha is the tool that holds everything. You know, they say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not see there's no other tool to hold bracha except Shalom. Shalom is a derivative of Simcha, of true Simcha. Bezat Hashem should help us, shall be zocher to that. Bezat Hashem,